Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Off the Record, where we dive deeper into the layers of the stories and shows you think you know. The series isn't just about recapping episodes or moments, it's about pulling back the curtain to explore the themes, hidden messages, and sometimes the uncomfortable truths about the characters and their choices. Here, it's all about going beyond the surface level entertainment to dissect the psychology, the what ifs, and the wait. Did that really happen? Moments that keeps us talking long after the credits roll. Whether it's about love, manipulation, or the blurred lines between good intentions and toxic behavior, Off the Record is designed to spark conversations that go beyond the screen. So, if you are ready to think deeper and challenge your own perspectives, then you are in the right place. Let's dive in. Before we dive into today's topic, I want you to think about something for a moment. What do you consider a romantic gesture? Maybe it's flowers, a surprise dinner, or a sweet message. But what if a romantic gesture that I listed crossed a line? When do those seamlessly loving actions start to feel like red flags? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore today. So, let's talk about this. Where's the line between romantic gestures and red flags? And why do we, as viewers, and let's be real here, as people in the real world, sometimes excuse behavior that's clearly a little questionable? Take Joe from the Netflix series You, for example. On the surface, Joe seems like the perfect guy. He remembers Beck's favorite book, he shows up at the right time to save her from falling onto the train tracks, and he's always, what's the word? There. At first glance, it feels romantic. Joe's attentive, thoughtful, and eager to be there for Beck. But then you step back and realize none of this is as innocent as it looks. Joe didn't learn about Beck's favorite book in a casual conversation. Joe stalked Beck's social media and pieced together details of her life without her consent. And that whole train track moment, sure, it's romantic, but Joe was only there because he followed Beck. Even his random bumping into her moments weren't random at all. Joe wasn't getting to know Beck naturally, he was orchestrating the interactions to control how she saw him. Let's break down some key moments and see where Joe's romantic gestures start to cross lines. 1. Credit card incident, Beck's name.
Enough cash to cover this, but you want me to know your name.
Guinevere?
Yeah, my parents were assholes with the whole naming thing.
At the bookstore, Beck was at the counter getting ready to pay for her book, and Beck chose to use the credit card as a form of payment. Instead of Joe just simply swiping Beck's card and giving her card back for her to complete the transaction and sending her on her way, Joe used this as an opportunity to learn Beck's first name, which was Guinevere. Joe assumed that Beck did this intentionally so he can learn her name. This is an early sign that Joe's idea of romance is more about gaining control over information than respecting boundaries. The healthy alternative is instead of assuming Beck is trying to be coy or give him a hint, Joe could have asked Beck what was Beck's short for after they made their little introduction to each other. Joe could have asked, so, Joe is short for Joseph. What is Beck short for? Or maybe saying, what does Beck stand for? This is a way to keep things light and respectful. No manipulation needed, just honest conversation. 2. Using social media to learn about Beck.
Account set to public. You want to be seen. Heard. If anything, the fact that you didn't share me with your followers only confirms we really connected. The next thing, our little friend, the internet.
Joe quickly starts using Beck's social media accounts to dig deeper into her life. While it may seem like he's getting to know her better, it's actually a huge invasion of privacy. It's a red flag because Joe's bypassing genuine human connection and jumping into the realm of digital stalking. Rather than using social media to gain insight into her life, Joe could have simply actually talked to Beck. Maybe he could have asked her what she's passionate about, what books she's reading, or what she enjoys doing in her free time. Building a relationship based on genuine interest and conversation, not just prying into someone's personal life, would have been the healthy route. 3. Joe's helping hand at the bookstore.
Who are you? Based on your vibe, apologetic, like you're embarrassed to be a good girl, and you murmur your first word to me.
Hello.
When Joe accidentally bumps into Beck or when Beck asks for Joe's assistance at the bookstore, it seems spontaneous and a sweet interaction. But let's be real, Joe had been following Beck around the bookstore, so this wasn't a coincidence. Joe sees himself as the hero in these situations, trying to create situations or moments where Beck feels like she needs him. Instead of creating artificial scenarios to seem like a hero, Joe could have just had a normal conversation with Beck without any alternative motive. He could have simply asked for her opinion on the book she was getting, or shared his thoughts on literature, establishing a casual, non manipulative interaction. 4. Pursuit of Beck. Joe is constantly trying to be in the right place at the right time, pushing his way into Beck's life. Whether it's offering unsolicited advice or accidentally bumping into her, he's always the one driving the action, making sure that Beck never really has a space to choose him. He's not waiting for her to make the first move, he's engineering the relationship. A healthy approach would have been letting Beck take the lead in moments of connection. Joe could have given her the space to make the decision to engage with him instead of making sure he's always present in her life. A healthy romance doesn't involve creating situations, it's about giving each person the space to come to each other naturally. Now, let's talk about why Joe gets away with this and why, as viewers, we're still rooting for him at this point. The thing is, Joe has this weird ability to show genuine kindness in moments he's trying to manipulate his surroundings. Think about his relationship with Paco. Despite being a stalker, a manipulator, and an all round dangerous guy, Joe still shows a softer side when it comes to Paco. He gives him books, teaches him lessons on how to treat women with respect, even though he's not following his own advice with Beck, and reassures him when he's down. That's the tricky part. When helps Paco, it taps into this deep rooted human need to believe people are redeemable. We see Joe taking time to guide Paco, encourage him to read, and offering emotional support. For a kid like Paco who's had a tough life, Joe feels like a mentor, a role model, someone who's looking out for him. And that's what gets us. We see a glimpse of what could be good in Joe, and for a moment we think maybe he's not bad after all. But here's another reason Joe gets away with so much. He's attractive. Let's be real. If Joe wasn't conventionally good looking, if he didn't have this charm, this aura of the misunderstood book lover, things would have gone differently. Imagine someone less polished lurking outside Beck's apartment or following her to her favorite spots. Would she or anyone else be flattering or forgiving? Probably not. Most people would have called the cops. It's a harsh reality, but Joe's looks and his curated nice guy persona give him a pass. He's not just a stalker, he's the handsome, thoughtful guy from the bookstore. And that difference makes it easier for both Beck and the audience to overlook all the glaring red flags. Now, let's break down what Joe should have done in these moments, because there are healthy ways to express romantic gestures without crossing boundaries. 1. Respect Beck's boundaries. Instead of creeping on her social media to build a false sense of intimacy, Joe could have taken the time to learn about her interests directly from her through real conversations. A healthy romantic gesture might have been asking her about her favorite book after a genuine chat, not memorizing her life from behind a screen. 2. Give back her agency. Following her to her apartment or her friend's place isn't just a red flag, it's a whole parade. A healthy partner would trust Beck to live her life independently and wait for her to invite him into her personal world at her own pace. 3. Be transparent and honest. Joe hides his true intentions behind a mask of charm, while a genuinely romantic partner doesn't need to manipulate the situation to be appealing. They're honest about who they are and what they're feeling without pressure or deceit. 4. Take the time to understand her as a person, not a project. A healthy gesture is built on seeing the other person for who they are, not just as someone to fix or possess. Joe could have spent time learning about Beck's dreams, ambitions, and flaws, accepting her as she is rather than trying to perfect their relationship through control. And five, create mutual, natural connections. Romantic gestures should never feel forced. Instead of orchestrating moments to make himself look like the hero, Joe could have simply let his relationship with Beck grow organically. This means building trust, respecting personal space, and allowing both of them to develop feelings naturally, no manipulation required. So, how do you recognize when romantic gestures are real versus when they're just manipulative behaviors wrapped in a pretty package? Here are a few signs to watch out for. One, genuine romance is mutual. Your partner considers your comfort and boundaries as much as their own. Romantic gestures come from listening to your wants, not forcing theirs on you. Two, romantic gestures feel safe. If your partner actions make you feel pressured, uneasy, or like you owe them something, that's a sign something's off. Three, healthy partners don't rush intimacy. They let the connection unfold naturally instead of forcing closeness. Four, respect for independence. A healthy partner supports your individuality. They don't try to control your friendships, your career, or hobbies because they respect you as a whole person, not just a part, like couple. Five, constant support, not conditional love. A loving partner offers support without expecting something in return. When gestures of kindness feel like they come with strings attached or expectations, that's a sign it's a red flag. So, coming back to Joe, his action might look romantic at first, but when you zoom out, they're all about control. It's not about Beck's needs or feelings. It's about Joe crafting a fantasy where he's the perfect guy. What do you think? After everything I laid out about Joe's romantic gestures, are you still rooting for him? I mean, it's hard to ignore the manipulation once you really dig into it. Have you ever seen someone use charm or a nice guy act to get away with things they shouldn't? Or do you think the way Joe's portrayed forces us to reflect on our own biases about who we trust? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. And that's where we'll leave it for now. Thanks for going off the record with me. Until next time, this is Sincerely Yours.